Hello everyone, my name is Rochelle Innocent and I'm the founder and CEO of Project Purpose. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Our community is focused on fostering the intellectual and character development in children. We do this through our parent-child workshops that focus on 4 themes: autonomy, self-efficacy, compassion, and self-concept, in order to cultivate grit, perseverance, and resilience in each child. At Project Purpose, our overarching mandate is to renew and rebuild family, communities, and relationships. Our YouTube platform provides us with an opportunity to have discussions on all topics that relate to family, community, and relationships with ourselves as well as with others, with a primary focus on mental health and education. More precisely, the ways that the institutions of mental health and education play a role and have played a role in our societies at large. These discussions and debates provide us with an opportunity to think critically about what needs to change within these structures in order for us to live up to our bold slogan: support, protect, and empower each child through youth-focused development, better known as leadership in juvenescence. We recognize that in valuing our children's leadership potential, that also translates as recreating and co-creating spaces, both socially and politically, in order for our children to thrive. For those of you who are particularly keen on this topic, definitely be sure to check out our website. We drop thought pieces every other Sunday. We actually just dropped a thought piece this past Sunday, so definitely be sure to check that out once you're done watching this video. As is the YouTube convention, definitely be sure to subscribe, join the community, hit that post notification bell so that you're aware of every time we post. And of course, if you like our content and you want to keep these conversations going, like, comment, and share this video. On this channel, we cover topics that relate to mental health, mental wellness, and education. And this week, our focus is going to be on mental wellness. As the title suggests, our focus for this video is going to be on why limiting your access to certain people is good for your mental well-being. And this is an important discussion because as adults, we forget sometimes that we have the say, we have permission to decide who we allow into our lives and who we block out. And that's what I want the focus of this conversation to be. It's a funny time to have this conversation because a lot of people are having discussions around increasing social interaction and making themselves available to different people. And I guess this is more about tailoring that desire to have contact and to have proximity with other people by making it specific people that you would like to have contact and proximity with. So I have certain people that I know, for me personally, are the kinds of people that I need to limit access to for my mental well-being. The types of people, the type of personalities that I feel, just as a general statement, are best to limit access to, only expose yourself in small doses. I like having this conversation, and I think this conversation is interesting because growing up, we had very little autonomy over who had access to us. I mean, our presence was always mandated, whether that was from the government or from our parents. It's like, we were required to go to school, go to church if that was something that your family was into. For me, it was school, it was church, 4-H. I did horseback riding lessons, although I actually enjoyed those. That wasn't something that I begrudgingly had to participate in. And, music lessons. There was so much of our lives as children that, was orchestrated by the people around us, and that lack of control sometimes permeates into adulthood. And it's interesting, I have very vivid memories of feeling this lack of power, this lack of control in the way that my routines were established, because as an HSP, as a highly sensitive person, there are certain personalities that are a complete drain on my mental and emotional resources. And it was always for everyone's benefit that we keep a certain degree of distance. My choice, even now in retrospect, I would have never given these people access to me. And I'd like to kind of go through why, because these are the kinds of personalities and characters that are always going to be a drain. They always take a lot more energy from you than what they put in, and it's just a lot to deal with them. It's just a lot of mental and emotional gymnastics in order to be able to kind of establish and navigate a conversation or an interaction with these types of individuals. And why is this? It's not because these people are particularly bad individuals. It's not because I'm a better person by any means. It's just a lack of compatibility. And oftentimes we talk about compatibility in romantic relationships, but compatibility translates across any type of relationship that you stand to establish within your lifetime. And there are just some people where I am not their cup of tea, and that's okay. And they are not my cup of tea, and that's okay too. But what's not okay is the fact that sometimes we are forced, we are mandated by the powers that be to share the same space with one another, and that therefore become attacks to each other's mental and emotional repertoires. So, all of this to say, as a child, you learn to groom and bear it, like there's nothing you can really do about your environment. There's not a whole lot that you get control over or autonomy by way of the environments that you find yourself in. But as an adult, I say absolutely not. As an adult, I have full autonomy. I have full right, full choice over who I allow access to me and who I keep a healthy distance from. And I exercise this right very liberally, and maybe more liberally than I should because of how constrained I felt as a child. But I'm very aware of the fact that I am the one who dictates who has access to me and who does not. And I've summed this up. Like for me, the types of people that I like to limit my access to are people who I consider to be low vibrational energies. So these people who kind of vibrate in a very negative space, and they're not good for the morale. I want to give you 3 reasons why a certain type of person isn't good for your mental well-being. And sometimes we feel these symptoms or we experience this, but we just don't recognize that is a signal for action in order to protect or preserve your mental well-being. And I just want to put it to the forefront of your attention. So the first one is if the thought of being around them or the mention of this human being or, any sort of indication of proximity with this person creates a visceral physical response in you. If the very thought of interacting with person creates pangs of anxiety, of stress, of, inner discomfort, then that's not someone you want to have access to. And I think that this idea that we have to swallow it up, buck up, and deal with the negative effects of having to engage with a person that makes us feel so physically ill is definitely misconstrued. I think if someone makes you feel that physically ill and you found it and you've tried to address it and trying to address it really hasn't been helpful to you in the past, then it's for your own mental well-being to keep a distance from that person. I mean, you're not going to change your physical responses of aversion to that human being. And sometimes these responses are a little bit more subtle, but where they are visceral and they're violent and that you feel unwell at the thought of being around this person, I say listen to that. I think gone is the time where we have this sense of obligation to be in spaces with people who make us feel uncomfortable and with people who make us feel ill, physically ill to be around. And if you're the kind of person where you grim and bear it and you kind of allow yourself to suffer through an interaction with another human being, I challenge you to question why you do that to yourself. If your body and everything about you is telling you that this person is not good for you, then my suggestion is you listen to that advice. Second type of person that I have no issues limiting access to me are the kinds of people who can't live peaceably with others. And these are the kinds of people where they can't be in a space or experience a shared moment of silence without picking at you, making fun of you, or making negative or derogatory comments. These people tend to be rude, obnoxious, and condescending, and for no reason at all. It's just, it's the way that they make themselves feel good about themselves. And you can tell that this is a weird form of ego stroking, how they stroke their own ego by trying to bring you down. And I really am not interested in engaging in this behavior. I don't care to match this behavior. I don't care to match their energy. But generally, I find myself observing these people, and I'm just what is the matter exactly? I try to find a way to understand and bridge a gap between, what is it about me that makes you feel inclined to kind of behave this way, or what is it about you that makes you feel like behaving this way is appropriate. And I've learned that I don't care, and that might be really abrupt, but I don't. If someone if someone wants to show up obnoxious and condescending and wants to pick at everyone and poke fun at everyone and in a negative, rude way, then I just don't want to be around that person. I don't want to dig into their psychology. I don't really have any real inclination to figure out, what about any aspect of their lives has made them come out this way. I really just want to protect myself from that kind of energy. And I never really engage, I don't tell these people how I really feel in the moment. I just kind of observe and I listen, and I mental note that this is not the kind of human being I'm going to continue interacting with. If the only way they feel good about themselves in those interactions is as all the different ways that they try to pick at me and pick at my choices and my life decisions based on what they observe from a very far off, and I find that these people, they're very low vibrational energy type of human beings. They don't think very highly of themselves, and they project that sense of inferiority onto others, and I just don't care to have my fill of that. The third kind of person that you want to limit access to, and this one is kind of funny. These are the people that don't like you, but they want to be near you. And this happens more frequently than you think. These are people who constantly have things that they want to change about you. And you think to yourself, like, if there are so many things that you don't like about me, then maybe you should find someone that has these characteristics and these traits. But no, they doggedly keep at you, trying to get you to change some of the core aspects of who you are as a human being so that it meets their needs. Because they want, but everything about you, they don't. This is confusing behavior to me. And I find that there are a lot of people that I have met in my life, and I'm hoping that this isn't just me, who don't like me fundamentally based on the things that they critique about my personality, but then they still want to be near me. And I've decided that I will make the tough choice for these individuals. If there are so many things that you feel inclined to critique about my personality, about the way that I show up in spaces and the way that I communicate my thoughts and my ideas and whatever the case might be, if there are more than 5 core fundamental things about who I am as a person that irk you, then you don't like me, right? And that's completely okay. I'm okay with the fact that you don't like me, but you can't change me. I'm not going to give you permission to change me. I am who I am, and I am not everyone's cup of tea, and that's completely okay. So for those of you who find that you have a social network of individuals who like to be around you, and like they have their reasons, we don't need to dig into that, but they can't help but try to find ways to fix you or find ways to make you more palatable for them. These people need to go. These people are not good for your mental well-being. If all they do is make you feel self-conscious and make you criticize or think twice about things that you generally wouldn't even think about, then these are people who are not for you but want to be for you, but they're confused. And until they can get clarity on their own without your help, then these are people that I would limit access to, and I wouldn't want them part of my social circles because they're just negative energy. They're downers. They're not good vibes. And I think as an adult, after so many years of having my time mandated by other people, I am the one that dictates who I give my time to and who I keep my time away from. You know what I'm saying? So another kind of person, I think I said 3. Really, I meant 5. I had 5 points. Another kind of person that I feel is important to limit access to by way of limiting their access to you are the people who like to encroach on your privacy and feel that they are exempt from traditional boundaries, right? So these are people who feel like they have the right to go through your phone, or they have the right to go through your computer, or they have the right to go through your documentation, but in private. They think that they're working in the shadows. They think there's absolutely no way that you'll know that they're completely breaching all aspects of your privacy. And whatever their motivations are, these people who have no sense of boundaries, or who feel that for whatever reason they're above simple human decency, or they feel that whatever their reasons, it qualifies them to kind of breach all aspects of your personal life, these are people that I absolutely don't want to have access to me. And at first, and I mentioned I'm a very observant person, so I have known, there has been many occasions in my life where I've recognized that someone has been or is breaching my privacy. And generally I want to get a sense of why. I'm like, well, why does this person feel inclined to dig into my life? And I really am not someone, I don't have anything to hide, but I also don't have anything to share, which just means I respect my right to have privacy, and I'm not going to allow someone to breach that right without cause or without reason. I think that we all need to cultivate maybe a better sense of awareness around why privacy is a thing, why there are rules and regulations around privacy, why there are laws and constitutions built around human privacy, and I value human privacy. But if there is someone who's breaching it, I generally am curious, and a lot of the times people don't know that I know, and I think that that's funny. I think it's funny when people think that they're operating in the shadows, but I am fully aware of what's going on, and maybe they're listening on phone calls, or maybe they're trying to put different links and emails that they send me so that they have access to my computer. I mean, all of these things unfortunately have happened to me, and always for self-seeking motives, right? And it's interesting how they try to paint themselves as, and maybe even to themselves, who knows, that they have good motives or they have the right intention behind their behavior. But breaching someone's privacy is never something that I condone, especially if you feel inclined to do it in the shadows, that you don't think that it's appropriate to ask for my permission, because you know that the information you're looking for is truly none of your business. So I think that those who feel inclined to exploit your privacy, to breach your privacy, to try to collect information about you in order to better manipulate you or to kind of control your behavior, these are kinds of people that I would limit access from. I wouldn't want these people in my circle. And even with Project Purpose, as it grows, I love to build a team. I love to have people who have the same vision, but it will not be the people who felt that they had the right or the authority to breach my privacy, to get whatever it was that they're looking for. And lastly, the kinds of people that I would stay away from, and I guess this kind of speaks to some of the individuals that I spoke to earlier on in this video, but these are the negative Neds and the negative Nancys. These are people who cannot see things in a good light ever. They only see things negatively. They always see themselves as the victim of life and the victim of circumstance. And they want you to feel the same way. They want to rain on your parade, and even though they don't like the rain necessarily, they want you to get used to it, because misery loves company. And I am someone, I've gone through my fair share of tough times, but my attitude is what has pushed me through a lot of those situations. And I find that sometimes, especially when you're going through a particularly tough situation, you really need to manage the people that you allow into your circle, because some people can make you feel way worse than you need to. And if you're already managing your feelings through a tough situation, you want to make sure that you keep the negative Nancys and the negative Neds at bay, because they only stand to make things feel worse than they actually are. And this is rough when your situation is actually pretty unbearable. So I find that people who can't have a balanced perspective, people who are very negative all the time, people who are arrogant, who think very highly of themselves, who think that they're above reproach, these are the kinds of people who, no matter what stage you are in life, you're only going to benefit from limiting their access to you. I don't know about you, but I honestly feel like these people should hang out with each other instead of finding people who are, a little bit more balanced or a little bit more positive in the way that they see the world around them. Have these negative people and these people who are sort of low vibrational energy types of human beings, let them hang out with each other so that they can see the effects that they have on others, and maybe that might compel them to change. And I know I've had my moments where I feel down, and I think all of us have our moments where we feel down. But I think it's important to just try to keep a balanced perspective on things. Try to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success, setting yourself up for the comeback, setting yourself up to cultivate the toolkits to get through the hardships, building the skills. So I've always been someone, I really like the saying, don't ask for life to be easier. Ask to be smarter. Ask to cultivate the skills that you need to get through those difficult times, so that the next time the storm comes or a hard time comes, you're better equipped at managing through it. I like to talk about this because all of these things are things that I do to support myself and to preserve myself. And while I may be avoidant, that is definitely true. It's not true. And I may have different behavior patterns or a link to past traumas, absolutely. But if it comes to these 5 behaviors that I've mentioned, then this is intentional. I'm intentionally preserving myself and keeping you away from me. This isn't me having a trauma response, or this isn't me sort of, acting within the realm of my avoidant attachment style by any means. This is me staying true to my higher self, aiming to sort of behave in ways that align with supporting myself by keeping these people, you know, either very far away from me, cutting these people out of my life, cutting these people out of my life completely, or very like limiting their access to me, very, very, very small doses, because I think these types of behaviors have never done well for my mental well-being. They are stressful behaviors. These are behaviors that make me worry. They make me feel anxious. They make me wonder, well, why are these people doing these things? You know, like, what's in it for them? And I don't care to worry about that kind of stuff. Like, if you can't be open, if you can't be upfront, if you have to operate in the shadows, if that's the kind of human being you are, if you have to manipulate, if you have to be negative and try to like break me down when I don't do the things that you want me to do, or you try to kind of knock me down a couple of pegs, I mean, that's all on you. That kind of behavior tells me a lot about who you are as a human being, and I wish you all the best, but you and I are not going to be operating in the same circles. So that when we decide to limit access to certain people, you know, limit the access of certain people to us, that is an indication that we are putting our mental well-being first, that we are thinking about ourselves first and thinking about what is the best route of action for us. And we're taking, you know, the brave path, because sometimes saying no to certain people is much harder than saying yes to them. Saying no to these people creates a cycle of punishment, and they punish you for daring to reject them, or punish you for daring to not want them part of your team or part of your inner circle, despite the fact that they've engaged in these very negative, very obstructive, toxic behaviors themselves. So respectfully, if you are someone who has engaged in these behaviors and you found that my response is limiting your access to me, I respectfully request that you respect the choices that I've made, and that we can both operate our own lives apart and be okay with that. Like, let's respect each other's personal space, respect each other's choices. You have your own circle of friends, I'm sure, as I have mine, and it's okay to not, you know, it's okay that not everyone wants to be your friend. It's okay. I'm okay with the fact that not everyone wants to be my friend, and I think we all need to get better at recognizing that not all of us are each other's cup of tea. So anyways, that was this video on mental well-being. It's a beautiful day. It's raining a little bit outside. I hope the rain lets up in a little bit, but even if it doesn't, I've enjoyed this conversation with you, and I look forward to chatting with you again. Definitely keep your mental wellness top of mind, especially during these precarious times. And if you're still watching, definitely subscribe to the video. Definitely sort of look through all of my social media platforms. I'm on Facebook. Definitely give my Facebook page a like. My Twitter feed, I'm on Twitter as well. I'm on Pinterest. Definitely subscribe to my website. I mean, definitely join the community. We're here. We're trying to change the game, and I can only do it with your support and with your engagement and interaction. So looking forward to connecting with you in future videos. Talk soon.
Feel like no one's listening.